I am really honored to talk to both of you about this, just support of the Cancer Foundation. And Vanessa, I am really honored because I had no idea that you were also a breast cancer survivor. And
Yes.
I listened to, a couple of your videos when you had Essence on and talking about that journey, and also so empowering for us women. And for both of you, let's start off with a couple of questions. What do you think, especially in our African-American community with women of color, what is the misconception that we have when it comes to breast cancer and getting ourselves taken care of?
Well, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is, well, there's several, but one is, well, I'm healthy and I take care of myself and I did everything the doctors say, and how can I get it? And because as one of my doctors told me, you know what the prerequisite for getting breast cancer is? Breast. You have breast.
Yes.
You have breast. And even men, they have breasts.
Oh yeah.
That's really all you need to get breast cancer. Because what people don't realize is 80% of the people, I call it the just because club. That's what I was in. It's only 20% that get it because it's hereditary, but 80% get it just because. That's the biggest, but there's several. I would say that is one of the biggest one of just people thinking that they can't get it because they're healthy, and they don't understand why and how they got it. And that's the other one, that they think that it has to be hereditary. That's the other one. They go like, well, nobody in my family has it. It's like, yeah, but nobody in your family has to have it. It's, and we don't know why Black women get it more aggressively and younger than our white counterparts, but we do. And I've seen some very young women, I mean, scary 20s and early 30s, who aren't required to get a mammogram yet because they're not in their 40s. So how do they know?
Right. And I never knew that. I mean, I found that so many things, listen to the video statistically. I had no idea about that. And I also recognize, is there like a fear base? Because when we hear the word cancer, I think right away people get so afraid of that word. They're just not willing to take that step.
I agree with that. So often it's denial. Denial is a big factor. And like Vanessa says, people do say, well, I take care of myself. I exercise. I eat right. So why in the world would I be stricken with such an evil disease? But I think it's our responsibility, and certainly with City of Hope, to educate people about our health situations and be our own advocate. And if we have older members in our family, to become advocates for them. So when they say, oh, I'm okay, I'm all right, yeah, I didn't feel good yesterday, I'll just lay down here for a minute, and then they never get up.
Yeah.
And we need a lot of education throughout the communities, and especially about being our own advocate.
And empowerment. We got to empower each other, I never forget one time I was doing a speech a few years back, breast awareness month. It was October, and it was a church. Usually the people who show up to these type of events, you're preaching to the choir. You really want to figure out how to get to the other people. But this one lady, she got up and she said that her mother had breast cancer and it ran her family, but she was afraid to go to the doctor, that she wasn't going to go because she didn't want to know if there was anything wrong with her. And I said, well, you're young enough to still have a life. Wouldn't you rather find out so that you can, have some control over it? But she had a friend with her. So we pleaded to her friend to make sure she went and got checked up. And to your point, Cheryl, we have to bring the community in, and it's like each one teach one, theory. We have to go, we have to go check in with your girlfriends. I also did a campaign with the ad council, and it was called Know Your Girls, know your girls, but also know your girls in your circle. So, hey, sis, what you doing? Did you get your mammogram this year yet? Hey, did you go to the doctor? Check up on each other to help each other be accountable. Because this woman, she knew that cancer ran in her family. She's afraid that it might be something that would hit her, but yet still, she wasn't going to go. And the Black community, that's what we do. Because we're so afraid of doctors because we've been experimented on. So it's understandable. We've been experimented on, but it's we got to let that go, because then everybody wants somebody to fall all out when they find out they're sick with ovarian cancer or breast cancer. I mean, not that, you want to criticize the sick or the dead, but it's like you had a chance to fix it. It didn't have to end this way. You don't have to die from cancer. And
No.
that's the message I try to give people. Of course, we have lost many beautiful souls from cancer, men and women. But early detection is key. That's what saved me. And you don't have to die from it.
Right. And I think that's a good point you mentioned, because I think that's the fear that keeps people from moving forward. They have this fear right away. Oh my God, I'm going to pass away. And I think it's a valid, really valid point.
Well, guess what? You are going to pass away if you don't do anything about it.
Exactly.
It's like a double-edged sword. I mean, I understand their sentiment, but it's like, yeah, you can die from it. Now, we're not saying you can't. When your nipple is inverted and you're oozing from your nipple and you got lumps.
Oh, wow.
That's, because breast cancer, what people don't realize is you don't feel it. When you feel it, you got cancer.
Uh-huh.
You don't have symptoms until you got cancer.
Until you've got it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I was stage 0, which is called DCIS. I had no symptoms. My cancer cells, they called it calcifications. My cancer cells hadn't fallen from my breast ducts yet. Thank God. So nothing was in my tissue or my lymph nodes. So you still have to do something. It's not like, oh, well, I got stage 0, so I'm cool. No, you still got to do something. I had a mastectomy because for me, that was the best thing. But had I not gone to the doctor, it could have been stage 3 or 4 by the time I found it. Right. But because I have early detection, I go every year. I caught it early.
Do you think there's a problem with misinformation, like you're saying? When do they tell a woman at any point, when do you start getting these exams? I mean, are they telling you to start when you're a teen? What are they saying? Because I hear people say, well, no, I'm told I have to go at this age and I have to go at this age. What are the guidelines for African-American women, or all women, to decide when to start getting these exams?
I think it's 40s. I think it's 40s, yeah. Yeah, in fact,
they say 40.
Yeah. 40. I just got my notice from where I get my mammograms to say, Cheryl, we haven't seen you. And I'm pretty good about it, but I think this COVID situation, my clock and time, way off. I mean, I can't believe it's almost the end of October. But
what people got to realize is that breast cancer don't quarantine.
I know.
But breast cancer don't.
That's when I looked at that.
Or any kind of cancer. And yes, it is 40. And like they say that younger women who like maybe prone to cancer, they do a lot of, they may not do a mammogram, but they'll do a sonogram on them. They'll do a different, and especially women who have dense breasts. Like my oldest daughter has dense breasts. So she's already had sonograms. I mean, she's just 30. Because me and then my husband's mother had breast cancer. So both of my girls, they've got to be vigilant with their breast health. Right. They can't wait till 40 to get mammograms. Right.
Can you explain what you said about dense breast?
Okay, well, my daughter, she has big, she's well endowed in her breast area. So just sometimes a mammogram can't pick up because of all that tissue, or it's a lot of lumps and they may pick up something else. So they also do a sonogram too. So a lot of women, because it comes up dark in some of the x-rays when they have heavy disc breasts. So they suggest sonograms too. And especially for younger women, they suggest that, You should teach teenagers how to do that. My youngest daughter found a lump shortly after my breast cancer. And of course I was, just like super scared. It turned out to be, benign. Nothing was there, and but it was still a lump, And I mean, I have met people and heard of people as young as their early 20s with breast cancer. So it's not. I don't think it's an age. I think it's a habit that we have to teach young girls.
I know. I had a cyst removed in my breast. I think it was my late 30s. So I am really religious about it, which is why when I got this notice yesterday that my year is up, and I thought, oh my gosh. So today I make the appointment.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, having loving family and support. One of my dear friends, also went through that. I was with her every day with chemo, and she said something important to me. She says, I'm not telling anyone except you and 2 other people, because I won't tell my family because they won't understand, and I don't think I'll get the support.
Oh, very.
So what
Yeah.
kind of guidelines? I mean, I think that could be part of, sometimes we don't want to tell other people in our family something that important to our lives. So can we talk about what kind of things we could do as women, as you say, to help others? I mean, I know you've had so much information out there, both of you so involved in, cancer health and with the organization. What kind of advice and mentorship could you offer?
Well, I can tell you what happened to me. I chose not to say anything for a while I had a very small group of people, and I was trying very desperately not to bring my mother and my father and my in-laws in. And I almost got away with it until I had to have the mastectomy. I thought I was going to just do this little radiation thing and just like keep it moving. But God was like, slow up. And he had another plan. So I had to bring them into the fold. And not because I didn't think they were going to protect me. I just didn't want them to worry.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to keep my daughters out of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to share it with the family. And I'm blessed. I have a very loving family. So everybody rallied around and we all got through it. But to your question, there are people who get divorced. Husbands leave wives and wives leave husbands, when cancer comes into the picture, because they just feel like they can't deal with it, which is unfortunate. So I think people have the right to pick their village, and decide who and when and at what point they're going to share. Because it took me a couple of years before I shared it with the world. I shared it, with individuals here and there, but I wasn't trying to go on Good Morning America and tell my cancer story. That just isn't me. I'm not saying anything wrong with other people doing it. That just isn't me, So I do understand why people do that, but you do have to find your village.
I agree. Two of my siblings, the males, had cancer, and one died at a young age of the worst one. What is the worst one? Anyway, and he didn't want anybody to know, and I was the only one who knew for a while. And one day I just broke down when he was in the hospital. I said, we have to. He was just so concerned because my mom had died just about 10 years earlier, and he was just concerned about our dad. And finally, we all talked about it. And another sibling, he wanted to keep it tight, but at least brought in the close family. And now has opened up a bit more about it. And knock on wood, he has sailed through it. So that is the very good news. But and certainly from older generations, my parents in particular, my mom, she didn't want to know about ever going to a hospital. When she knew she had an operation, she was told by a doctor and that she'd have to lose a little weight for the operation. So what do you think she did? She gained another 30 pounds to absolutely make sure she was not going to go to the hospital. Because, as Vanessa said, there have been such mistreatment for our folks throughout history. So we are taking a bit of time to believe that people actually do care. And certainly City of Hope does, which is why we are so involved. We understand that they understand that, yes, money is wonderful and beneficial, but more than that is bringing our friends and relatives into the fold of knowledge of how they can take control of their lives, how it's not something to be shameful or something that you did wrong or something that happened to your parents or grandparents 50 years ago. 70 years ago. Yeah. That we're at a time right now that we have tremendous personal power and group power. And this is the time for us to go deep with helping our brothers and sisters in our community. So that's why I am involved with this, with the dine-in dinners with City of Hope.
All right, that was my next question. What inspired you ladies to be involved in the Dine Health City of Hope? Vanessa?
Well, Cheryl called me and asked me if I would participate and help chair. And I mean, first of all, you don't tell her no. But second of all, it was a great cause. And being a cancer survivor, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me, because I'm an advocate for cancer. Matter of fact, a movie that I directed for BET, Her, is coming on. I don't know when this is airing, but I'm sure it will rerun quite a bit on BET, Her. And it's about cancer. And I'm relaunching the shows that you saw. I'm relaunching them in the company of friends, and we're dealing with all types of cancer and health issues, and talking to professionals and cancer survivors, people currently going through cancers, and doctors. So I mean, it's something that I've been doing for I'm 11-year survivor, so it's been a part of my life for the last 11 years. Definitely 9 years when I started speaking out, about it to everybody. So it was a no-brainer, and they do a very good job. And you don't mind getting behind certain organizations, but you want to make sure that if I'm going to raise money and ask my friends for money, I want to make sure that it's a really good organization that's really doing good work that you can see. I don't have to go back and explain what happened to the money. You know what I'm saying? They can see it. And when I tell you, when we started this campaign and I reached out to my friends, I got several responses saying, "Oh, City of Hope, I know them. They're very good." Oh yeah, or somebody in my family, they were there, or I know somebody that did, or I know somebody that was there. Oh, I'm very familiar with City of Hope. I got several. I didn't tell you this, but I got several responses like that. So that let me also, that validated that okay, I am doing the right thing. And immediately the money started coming in, because people don't mind lending their name and time and money to a good cause. So it was a no-brainer for me.
So the Dine In Health really was something that was super impactful. You felt it made a difference in promoting the course and getting more people involved donation-wise?
Oh, yes.
Cheryl can answer that,
yes. And there's a video that we show at the dinners. And my dinner, and I was invited to Vanessa's, and the comments after is very enlightening, that people are learning in this quick video and not understanding how deep our situation is, and it puts a light on it. And we always have at least a doctor, if not more than one, to talk about the nuts and bolts of the activities that City of Hope are involved with. Better involvement for our folks in trials. For many trials we're not involved in, and for many different reasons. I didn't know that. Very much so. In some cases, well, there's not that many of African Americans to be able to be part of our trials. Or I think I had told the story years ago when I had my first stress test. My cardiologist after said, "Did you get on the treadmill?" And I said, "Yeah, the normal thing, treadmill." And it came back a little funky. So they wanted me to do the dye test. And she said, "You should have just done the dye test, because the trial only used white male soldiers from the Korean War. So, none of that. And we need to be involved, because although we're all the same, our structures can be just a tinge different. And that is what is important. And also precision medicine, as it's getting more and more fine-tuned, the ability for people to understand precisely how they can get involved with which medicines, which organization to help themselves or their relatives is key. It's a progressive thing. It starts in one, it just keeps going. And we deserve to be part of the conversation, and certainly all of the advances that are being made.
Absolutely. I thought it was a genius concept. I thought it was great, because especially in COVID, we're all dealing with COVID. So nobody can go to a gala, nobody can go to a big party right now. And quite honestly, a lot of people feel relieved that they don't have to dress up and go. They'd rather just give the money and be left alone. They don't have to, commit to that. So I thought it was a great idea. I did a brunch because it was just, I did it with my daughters. And it was just the time of day that was easy for us. But I like the concept of when Cheryl explained it to me, like, if you're going to buy me a sandwich or take me out to lunch, instead of giving me a lunch or a sandwich or taking me to dinner, give that money to City of Hope, donate it to my cause. So I thought that was really ingenious the way they did it. And it's very effective, because people responded immediately. Immediately, people responded.
Yeah, very smart move, especially that now so many people are out of work, they're furloughed, but they understand this. And it keeps them involved and feeling good about that.
And they can give anything as low as what you spend on Starbucks to a fancy dinner at, Mr. Child's. So it's like whatever in between, wherever you want. And some people gave as little as $10, and some people gave me $500. And one person gave me $2,500. So So I thought it was great. It spoke to everybody, and nobody felt left out. Like, oh, I can't, because you get those tickets, you get that stuff in the mail, and just getting in the door is $500,000 for
Exactly.
tickets
Yes.
to these
Exactly.
events.
I agree.
And you got to dress up, and you got to get there.
But I love
You
what
know?
you said. But Vanessa, you made a good point. I think people sometimes feel so bad if they can only give $15 or $20. So just allowing them to give a little makes a difference. And you're right. Sometimes they see that thing, they go, oh my God, I feel terrible. I don't have 150, but it's awesome that it's okay, and make them feel good about that.
Yeah.
Even at 25.
It's
And, you know,
absolutely right.
and Vanessa, I want to make one point too. I love the fact that both of you stress that people can survive. And I think that that's what they need to hear from, you know, people like yourself in the business and people like Cheryl. And I think that really resonates more than anything else. When you keep saying in your videos and your show, we can survive. There are survivors out there. And we don't talk enough about that.
Yeah, well, just like Cheryl was saying earlier about how we have to, you know, control and be in control of our own health. It starts there. And like I added, you can only survive if you know what you're surviving. You know, if you don't go to the doctor and get regular checkups, and it doesn't just stop at breast health, it's health. Because our communities have diabetes, we have heart disease. You have to go to the doctor. You have to take care of yourself. You have to eat right. You have to do everything you know you should do. But a regular checkup, you'd be surprised how across the board that can save you. You know, like one of my doctors told me, my colon doctor, I've had a couple of colonoscopies, you know, because I'm of that age. And he said, nobody should die of colon cancer.
I agree.
Don't know that. He said, nobody should die of colon cancer.
Yep.
If you go get a colonoscopy. If you're 60 and 65 and you've never had a colonoscopy, well, you might find some trouble. But if you started doing it at 50, you're probably good. So it's just like, you got to take care of yourself. You got to get a regular mammogram. You got to do self-examinations. And then God hope that you won't experience anything. But if you do, you know, hopefully you'll be stage 0 like I was, and you can take care of it. Or even stage 1, stage 2. I know people survive from stage 3. But you've got to be active and, you know, just take care of yourself.
Okay. Well, ladies, I mean, thank you so much for taking this time to chat with us. I think that people needed to hear you say these words. And Vanessa, again, thank you for all the work you've been doing in the industry, not just your beautiful, amazing career, but your work with cancer and the research. We really, really appreciate you. And Cheryl, again, thank you again so much, ladies. I know you're super busy with COVID anyway, but you're here talking to us, and I just appreciate you guys so much. So have a wonderful day and a fantastic weekend. All right.
Thank you. You
so
too.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Nessa.
Bye,
Great seeing you.